There we go. Hi everyone, let's talk books. Today I have a haul because I've actually bought quite a few books. Not all of these were in February, though most of them were in February. A few of these I bought in January and just hadn't bought enough to do a haul, I felt, so I would just put them off to share in February. But let's get started because I have a lot to talk about. The first one I bought is an audiobook, and this is Stephen King's Everything's Eventual, Five Dark Tales. I'm really into audiobooks at this moment because I'm commuting, and so this gives me something to do and to gives me some time to read, to listen to a book while I'm driving. And I have not read anything by Stephen King. And when I saw this at my local bookstore, I thought, all right, so this is different stories, so it'll give me a taste of Stephen King and seeing if I actually want to start reading any Stephen King. So that's that. Another audiobook, and this one I am going to share with you all, even though it's not for me. This is actually going to be a gift for my boyfriend's dad, and it's Neil deGrasse Tyson's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. This is the audiobook again. My boyfriend's dad is really into audiobooks. He's actually lent me quite a few of them. And so, yeah, I wanted to, when I saw that, I knew I wanted to get it to him. So I won't be gifting it to him right away. I'll probably be waiting until Father's Day or something like that. But anyway, next up, I am going to, or I bought Sherry Thomas's A Study in Scarlet Women, first in the Lady Sherlock series. So this is a series that I did not know a ton about. But the whole idea, these kind of Sherlock Holmes reworkings, I'm really interested in. I went through a phase earlier on in my life in which I was really into all of the Sherlock Holmes reworkings. I've read Sherlock Holmes, and I am currently listening to the entire Sherlock Holmes anthology on audiobook, which, by the way, I really recommend. It's read by Stephen Fry, and he has a really good reading voice and is doing a really good job. I'll post a picture of it somewhere, but yeah, so I'm really interested in this. The back it says, with her inquisitive mind, Charlotte Holmes has never felt comfortable with the demureness expected of the fairer sex in upper class society, but she never thought that she would become a social pariah, an outcast fending for herself on the mean streets of London. When the city is struck by a trio of unexpected deaths and suspicion falls on her sister and her father, Charlotte is desperate to find the true culprits and clear the family name. She'll have help from friends, new and old, a kind-hearted widow, a police inspector, and a man who has. It will be up to Charlotte, under the assumed name Sherlock Holmes, to challenge society's expectations, blah, blah, blah. All right, it actually does sound good for me, so we'll see how it is. Another one I picked up was Tim O'Brien's The Things That Carried. I've read selections from this when I was teaching in a program in which we were studying war. And I teach a class on violence. I teach World War I and World War II in my classes, and I thought, you know what, I need to pick this up and actually read it. So if you don't know, I can read the back real quick. It's a work of fiction about men in war. They carried malaria tablets, love letters, 28-pound mine detectors, dope, illustrated Bibles, each other, and if they made it home alive, they carried unrelenting images of a nightmarish war that history is only beginning to absorb. Since its first publications, okay, I don't need to know all that stuff, but it's basically about the things that soldiers carry with them at war, and that kind of, to kind of basically talk about the experience of war through the soldier's eyes. So I'm super interested in that one. Next up, I picked up The Songs of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I always assign the Iliad in my classical civilizations class, and this is like a modern retelling of it. Not modern, it's a retelling of it. The back reads, Achilles, the best of all the Greeks, son of the cruel sea goddess Thetis and the legendary king Peleus, is strong, swift, and beautiful, irresistible to all who meet him. Patroclus is an awkward young prince, exiled from his homeland after an act of shocking violence. Brought together by chance, they forge an inseparable bond despite risking the gods' wrath. They are trained by the centaur Chiron in the arts of war and medicine, but when the word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped. All the heroes of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Seduced by the promise of a glorious death, Achilles joins their cause, and torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows. Little do they know that the cruel fates will test them both as never before and demand a terrible sacrifice. So I really like the Iliad. I haven't read the Odyssey yet, but I know the story of the Odyssey quite well. So I'm interested to see what kind of story Miller weaves in this book, because it's also a book I could potentially assign in my class. Anyways, next is a work of nonfiction, and it's Social Movements 1768 to 2008. So it's just a compilation of different essays on social movements in history. It was put together by Charles Tilly and Leslie Wood. Charles Tilly is one of these incredible social historians, and so and I teach social movements in my class, in several of my classes, so I want to read it and see if there's anything in here that will be useful to assign in my class, etc. So this is one of the academic books that I purchased. Next up, the next set of books. I just this weekend went to Barnes & Noble, and in the recommended list from Barnes & Noble employees was They Both Die in the End by Adam Silvera. And this is a book that as soon as I heard the title, heard the premise, I really wanted to read. It's set in a kind of futuristic world where you apparently get a phone call when I think it's you have 24 hours left to live, and there's an app where people that get this phone call can connect. And so this is the story of two young men that connect on this app. All right, my battery died, so hopefully the transition here is not too rough. So just hearing the premise, I knew that this is a book that I really wanted to read and that I will probably like. Okay, last book that's academic is The Silk Roads by Peter Frankopan, and I had not heard about this book, but it says that it is an international bestseller, and the Silk Roads are this really amazing moment in history that doesn't always get truly examined. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yes, I need to pick this up. I teach the Silk Roads in my world history classes, and I'm always looking for new information and new ways of teaching it. So I'm excited about that one. Next up, I picked up three comic books here about Wonder Woman. So they're all having to do with origins of Wonder Woman. This one is Who is Wonder Woman? Who is Wonder Woman? The next one is Wonder Woman, the True Amazon. So this one's dealing with the Amazons. And then The Legend of Wonder Woman Origins. So I don't read a whole lot of comics, but Wonder Woman I'm really into, and I've lately been doing a small unit on the Amazons and Wonder Woman in my classical civilizations class. So the next one, most of the next kind of batch of books I bought at my used bookstore, which I've been going on a weekly basis to, and I think I've hit the jackpot on a few titles here. So the first one I picked up is The Girl in 6E. So this, if you watch my Contemporary-a-thon TBR, was on that list. I did terrible at Contemporary-a-thon, by the way. But I had gotten the book from the library, and when I saw that my local bookstore had it, and they were having a special where if you posted a picture with the book, a book you were buying on Facebook, you got a book for free. So I picked this one up, and I'm going to be returning the other one to the library and keeping, obviously, this one. So it's about a cam girl, and that's pretty much all I know. The back, though, is kind of intriguing. It just says, my life is simple as long as I follow the rules. 1, don't leave the apartment. 2, never let anyone in. 3, don't kill anyone. So I'm pretty intrigued. Next up, I got 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. I've really been trying to push myself with some of my reading and read things that are a little bit out of my comfort zone. I haven't done a good job of it this year. I've really been gravitating towards just really comfortable reads for me, but this is one that is not, and it's super thick, so I don't think I'm going to be reading it anytime soon. But this summer, when I'm not teaching, I think I can actually sit down and dedicate some time to this book. I don't know much about it other than he is a very interesting kind of all over the place writer, at least for like American taste. It says, a love story, a mystery, a fantasy, a novel of self-discovery, a dystopia to rival George Orwell's 1Q84 is a tremendous feat of imagination from one of our most revered contemporary writers. So I am very excited to at some point read this and kind of read something different. But yes. So let's see. Next up, I'm going to share this one. So this one is Angie Thomas's The Hate You Give. It is a YA. I've heard a lot about it. If you haven't heard about it, it is the story of a young girl who witnesses a police shooting in which the police kill a young black man. And it's kind of the story through her eyes, what she goes through, you know, what it all means for her community. And it seems like a really important book that deals with an incredibly difficult topic that is unfortunately very relevant today. So I am really excited to read that one. And next up, at my used bookstore as well, I found Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Let's see, I don't remember much about this story. I think it's about the suburbs in Cleveland, yeah. And it's about the kind of communities, the families that live in this one neighborhood. And then one of the families adopts a Chinese American baby. And there's some sort of custody battle. There's a huge community thing. I saw this book on a lot of like best of 2017 lists, and I wanted to. It sounds interesting, and so when I saw it at my used bookstore, I immediately went ahead and got it. And my used bookstore is really good. Like this copy looks really great. It just has somebody's name on there, but other than that, it looks pretty untouched. All right, so next up, I really hit the Mother Lode at my used bookstore with Chelsea Cain books. So these are all part of a series. A few weeks ago, I read the first one in the series called Heartsick. And the series is about a police detective who was hunting a serial killer. And he caught the serial killer after she kidnaps him, tortures him, and then calls the cops to basically save his life. She's now in jail. He's outside, and she's outside. He's outside, and there's a new kind of set of murders. And so that was the premise of the first book, and it's trippy. It's a trippy story, but I really, really like it. So let's see. It's Gretchen Lowell is the serial killer that's in jail, and it's the detectives Archie Sheridan. So I was so grabbed by it that I knew I have to continue with this series, and if I hadn't had other books on my to read list, I would have immediately continued with it. And I think the original one I read on ebook, or the first in the series. But so when I saw my bookstore had number 2, number 3, and number 4, I immediately grabbed them. So I believe Sweetheart's the next one. And let's see, this must be The Night Season and Evil at Heart are the next couple of them. So I'm super excited to have that in my collection, and because I really like it. Now, if I ever see the first one, I think I'm gonna buy it because I like it that much, and since I'm kind of gonna read the whole series, I'm like, I need to have all of them. Alright, I'm getting super jittery because I had coffee and I didn't have any food, so I think I better go eat something. But those are all the books that I picked up in the last month. Let me know if you've read any of those, what you think of them, and let me know what you've been picking up in the last month. But that is it for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!